If you are hoping for a new DCU that just wipes the stink of the DCEU out there, your hopes not only reside on James Gunn and DC Studios, but another studio out there in partnership with Warner Brothers, likely continuing into the future with Bad Robot and JJ Abrams. They are the team that brought you Batman, the Caped Crusader. There's an article out there picking on some information from Deadline stating maybe this is what DC fans really want. DC movie and television fans. I'm a huge DC fan, and that's not what I want. Now, there was a time, certainly a time, when JJ Abrams and Bad Robot had a pretty damn good reputation, obviously, in the very early days of Lost. Sterling reputation. The first 3 seasons, damn near perfect. Almost doesn't get any better television than Lost the first 3 seasons. Another show that maybe doesn't come out quite as hot as Lost is Fringe, but Fringe actually nails the landing. Fringe is actually a better television show. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite as popular, but Fringe is really, really good. So there was a time when JJ Abrams and Bad Robot meant good things for fans, but I think that's pretty much tarnished. You know, you could only see the mystery box storytelling so many times, did not get paid off well, and be disappointed. Now, he has had a few successes out there. I still think, was it 60 millimeter? I think it's 60 millimeter. I might be wrong on that one. But the movie he made about growing up as like a Spielberg fan, which was Stranger Things before Stranger Things, is actually a pretty darn good movie. But The Rise of Skywalker is The Rise of Skywalker. It's a really bad movie. There are mixed feelings on the Star Trek reboot. I think the first one's perfectly fine. I don't like the second one. And the third one, which was Star Trek Beyond. I think it's Star Trek Beyond. I actually thought it was a hoot, but I really liked the female extra alien character that was in there. I thought she was pretty cool. But there are lots of mixed feelings for JJ Abrams, and likely not a lot of good feelings for JJ Abrams from DC fans after Caped Crusader. But other people have other opinions. Let's hear about this and all the things that we can expect for the future of JJ Abrams and DC stuff. When it comes to upcoming DC projects, everybody is focusing on James Gunn, but JJ Abrams may be the one to watch. Abrams' Bad Robot recently brought us Batman the Caped Crusader series on Amazon. Now, Bad Robot is in the middle of negotiations with Warner Brothers to extend their film and TV deal, which might be good news for any fans looking for ambitious superhero content from Abrams. Bad Robot previously signed a 5-year movie and TV deal back in September of 2019, but the merger with Discovery led to some friction with Abrams. Now, Bad Robot is finalizing a new deal with Warner Discovery, but it is likely to be less lucrative, perhaps far less than the previous $250 million deal. And that was for them just to be there and develop stuff. And we really didn't get much out of that. We were supposed to get like a Justice League Dark type of thing. We certainly had that Superman Ta-Nehisi Coates project in production for quite some time. And I don't think that Warner Brothers really got much of anything out of that initial 5-year deal. You know, even Batman the Caped Crusader didn't even end up on Max, so it didn't really even help out their streaming service. But it looks like they're going to come back to the table, likely offering far less money. But it is a different environment around Hollywood, and JJ Abrams and Bad Robot's reputation isn't quite as sterling as it once was. You know, he's had a lot of failures and a lot of things that have failed to launch even over the years, especially at Warner Brothers. But could this be the beginning of amazing things? I think not. Previously, Warner Brothers had given the green light to Batman Caped Crusader to JJ Abrams' Bad Robot, but after the merger with Discovery, the new executive leadership took a closer look at various upcoming projects. This scrutiny led to some very controversial decisions, including shelving an already complete Batgirl movie for nothing more than a tax write-off. And while fans at least got to see Caped Crusader, the new leadership passed on streaming it on Max, which is why it is currently making waves for rival streamer Prime Video. And I do think that's a problem for JJ Abrams and Bad Robot. They produced a cartoon, they got it all the way to fruition, and then when finally David Zaslav and the team behind Warner Brothers Discovery, who do seem to be very protective of the DC brand when it comes to film and television, were like, this doesn't cut mustard. Like, you can offer it to other streaming platforms, but we don't even want it on Max. And obviously Max could use more high profile programs out there, especially like the spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series. That Batman the Caped Crusader was supposed to be, they brought back Bruce Timm. Unfortunately, they forgot Paul Dini, and it kind of fell flat. And a lot of people, rightfully so, are making fun of Batman the Caped Crusader. Oswald Cobblepot is something that deserves to be mocked. It's stupid, it looks awful, and it doesn't really play out very well, and people weren't happy with that. But there's a lot of weird changes in Batman the Caped Crusader, and it sounds like a lot of people felt like it was a mixed bag of entertainment. Yes, there's some highs, but there's some very low lows in there, and it wasn't quite something that David Zaslav wanted to attach to his DC brand at Warner Brothers Discovery moving forward. And they are heavily invested in DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers movies going forward with the DC studios and James Gunn. And he does have to be more protective because they literally were greenlighting and making all kinds of just random shit under Walter Hamada, especially to where you didn't even really know what the DC brand is. And at this point, they're going to have like 2 or 3 different Batman characters. They're going to have 2 or 3 different Jokers, all in the same studio and stuff. And I think they're looking for something with a little bit more synergy in there. Hopefully, if Bad Robot and JJ Abrams sign up for another exclusive deal for Warner Brothers, they're not really allowed to be too hands-on with those products unless it's overseen by James Gunn himself, because, obviously they didn't even want that one on the streaming service. But there are a couple of projects out there that have been talked about for several years that are still in production from Bad Robot. DC fans in particular have a lot riding on this deal with JJ Abrams' company getting finalized. Bad Robot is still developing both a sequel to Constantine and an Elseworlds film centered around Superman. There's always a chance that these films could be as bad as JJ Abrams' Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker. But if they manage to stick the landing, each could become a tentpole superhero film for a studio that has been struggling to follow in Marvel's successful footsteps. And that literally is what they've been doing for years upon years now, just trying to catch up with Marvel, kind of tripping over their own feet, making really bad decisions along the way. And I must admit, The Rise of Skywalker is a terrible film. I never wanted to watch it, but we did do a review here on the channel, so Aaron and I did watch together and review it. But I don't fully blame JJ Abrams for that catastrophe. A lot of times he does things that are uninspired and certainly are very cliche or tropish, or even redoing plots from other movies. See also The Force Awakens, which is basically just a rehash of the very first Star Wars film. But normally his movies don't get to the level of The Rise of Skywalker when it comes to terrible, awful filmmaking quality to them. While certainly it had the sounds and the looks and some feel of Star Wars, he was having to undo all the stuff that Rian Johnson had done in The Last Jedi so he could actually get forward to the story and the ending that he wanted to get to. So you have about, like an hour and a half of undos followed by a 2.5 hour movie that's scrunched into like a 2.5 hour runtime on a movie. So you have like 5 hours, 4 hours of movie just completely condensed. And it's like fast forward the movie. It's the weirdest experience, or one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had watching a movie. It's not Requiem for a Dream bad, but it's pretty damn close just as far as repulsiveness. But I don't think a normal JJ Abrams production would actually be that bad normally. I'm surprised they're still wanting to do that Constantine sequel to not the TV show, but the Keanu Reeves movie before that. It's been a really long time, and if I remember correctly, that movie bombed quite badly. And as much as I love Keanu Reeves, and I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan, like, he's not Constantine. Like, it didn't really work out. It wasn't a good portrayal of the character. I don't know why they want to do the sequel, and I believe Keanu Reeves is supposed to do it, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. The more baffling thing out there is, why would they want to introduce another Superman, this time being written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, which has apparently been working on this project for like 4 years now, but James Gunn says it's still in production, still threatening that the movie actually might come out. It's supposed to be like a take on a black Superman kind of character. Don't know if it's going to be like a President Superman, or is it going to be like an Elseworlds Clark Kent that is black, or maybe it's Mon-El, but with a race swap on it or something like that. But we've seen Ta-Nehisi Coates do superhero stuff, specifically in comic books, and he was a massive failure at Marvel Comics. I don't know why they brought him over. He doesn't really seem to get like superheroes. If you go check out like his Black Panther. Like, there's a lot of visuals from the artist that certainly informed the Black Panther movie that was wildly successful, but almost none of his elements of his storytelling are in there. But a lot of the Brian Stelfree's visuals are absolutely apparent in there. And then when he did Captain America and had a pretty long run, he like bottomed out the series and actually like established a new floor for Captain America regarding sales. Like before, the worst you could do on Captain America was about 40,000 at its worst, and he dropped it down to 20,000 and never recovered. Like, the dude is literally a character and franchise killer. So I just don't get it. And if those are the types of talents that JJ Abrams is hiring with Bad Robot to come in and do projects, no, I don't want that. Nobody wants that. But for some reason, these guys from Giant Freaking Robot really think this is a great idea. Of course, there are cynical DC fans who don't have as much faith in JJ Abrams for many reasons, including his spotty recent directorial track record and his mystery box style of storytelling. However, we felt like Caped Crusader was one of the best, freshest takes on the DC universe in years, and we can only hope to get more shows and films from Bad Robot of this caliber. A successful negotiation with Warner Brothers Discovery may mean a golden age of DC content, and after years of enduring the awful DCEU, we're ready for something better. And with that last line, you and I agree. I am ready for something better. The DCEU was the most mixed of mixed bags, with some really good highs, not amazing highs, not any Captain America, like Winter Soldier highs, or Avengers Infinity War type of highs. No, but I did like Shazam. I think that was probably the best movie out there. I thought the Wonder Woman movie was actually pretty good. So there were a couple of things that they did that I thought were pretty decent. I didn't like Aquaman much as a lot of people, but a lot of people did seem to like Aquaman. But it was a lot of lows. No, that Suicide Squad movie was awful. You know, I really disliked Batman versus Superman. I really disliked Justice League. You know, and those are a lot of the bigger movies out there. So we're ready for something better. Do I think James Gunn in the DCU will be able to do that? Not really, because I don't think James Gunn has a feel for Superman, which is the heart and soul of the universe. But I don't think JJ Abrams has the secret sauce either. I think it's going to come from somebody else. Somebody will finally get it right. We'll finally get the DC heroes right, other than Batman. And Batman's, you know, kind of a malleable character, and a lot of people are able to work with the character, make it work. But some of these characters, you have to do it almost perfectly right to really represent what they are and really work with fans, Superman being that one. I just don't feel like James Gunn is that, but I don't feel like at all JJ Abrams and Bad Robot are that either. And I don't think most people are thinking Caped Crusader is one of the best examples like of a DC property to come out in the past decade that really embodies what we want to see from DC Comics moving forward, or DC Comics heroes on the big screen or television moving forward. I think a lot of people were taking the piss out of it because it was easy to laugh at. Now, there were some elements in there that work, but it's almost impossible to make something that doesn't work wholly. You know, even if you go look at The Rise of Skywalker, and that's a really bad movie, there are elements that work. It looks like Star Wars. It kind of sounds like it. You know, there's some good special effects, you know, but the story and everything else about it really falls flat. And I don't want to endure years of mystery box storytelling at the hands of JJ Abrams. You know, it just doesn't sound appealing, but I do hope for better and brighter days for DC heroes. Fingers crossed that James Gunn really nails this Superman movie, but I am highly skeptical that he's capable of it. Not as a director, not as a storyteller, but just as a writer and someone taking the source material seriously, which I've almost never seen him do. He likes to take the piss out of everything, and Superman's one of those characters that it just doesn't really work with. We shall see, but there you go. Some people think that maybe JJ Abrams and Bad Robot are the future of DC. I disagree wholeheartedly on that one. I don't think that's a really good take. If you like what we're doing here, bringing a new, honest perspective to not only comic books, but movies and television, all that good noise, and you would like to help support that mission, I do invite you to come visit me on Think Critical Patreon, where we have lots of extra bonus content in the form of podcasts and exclusive videos, 40 hours every single month for your viewing pleasure. Lots of awesome podcasts. If you haven't checked it out, there's a link in the video description.